IPMNation.com.
As always, thank you for joining us. We're getting ready to fire it up over here on Facebook Live, but I want to stop by quickly to thank you for making us the #1 show here on the IPMNation.com platform. Thank you so very much. All right, we're getting ready to kick it off. We will see you back on Facebook in just a minute.
Live from the Outpost Studios in Columbus, Ohio, you're listening to All Natural Being with Brian Brawdy. Brought to you by IPMNation.com. Get ready for the gong heard round the world.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, that would be a good time to hit the gong.
All-Natural Being. Warning, All-Natural Being with Brian Brawdy is designed to shake your sense of self to the core.
It's full contact psychology with an empowering twist, a philosophical loofah for your soul.
For those of you not ready or comfortable releasing your inner superhuman, listener discretion is advised.
Here's your host,
Brian Brawdy.
Yeah. So, I don't know what the rules are, so of course this isn't sangria in the glass. It's Hawaiian Punch.
Right.
Well, just in case anyone asks. You never know what the rules are. Good evening and welcome. Thank you for stopping by the #1 rated show here on IPMNation.com. Episode 278. Who'da thunk it? The gong heard round the world. You're in to All Natural Being, broadcast as it happens here on IPMNation.com and Facebook for Fly on the Wall video. Live from the Outpost Studios in Columbus, Ohio. And I have proof tonight. I have 2 people to prove this is live with rebroadcasts on iTunes and iHeartRadio. Greetings wherever you are here in the Garden of the Mortals. Top of the day from the truest parts of who you ultimately are, because life, it's your labyrinth, your shot at running the table. That's why we're always putting your heart's highest priority top of the list. Where else does it belong? Right there. Placing your primal scream front and center in your life. Again, right where it belongs. Reinstalling and reinstating the true wisdom, the true wit of your inner whisper. It's time to reboot your robust, to find your ferocious, to out-brutal the brutal that is the cut and shuffle that fate deals you on a daily basis, and to bring your own bold once and for all. But before we hit it this evening, and I introduce our studio guests, hello to my friends here in the United States, of which there are 2, Canada, Mexico, the UK, my good friends in Ecuador, China, the Philippines, Brazil, India, Australia, Germany, Italy, France, Turkey, Japan, Singapore, Sweden, Israel, South Africa, Puerto Rico, Kenya, the Netherlands. To those joining us from all over the globe, it really is great to have you with us. I truly am fired up to be driving your bandwagon, to be your biggest fan, to be avidly you. So let me ask you, are you tired of being institutionalized by the intentions of others, convicted by the constructs of another, remanded to a prison of rhetoric, yourself or another's? Me too. That's why it's time to mortal up. So what do you say? Let's go kick in some doors. And again, as I said, we'll get to our studio guests here in just a minute. You know, my little proof. Sign of life. Oh, yeah, that's okay. It's okay. You know what? Because to be honest with you, instead of throwing you under the bus, I'm going to tell you I forgot to turn down my own volume. So see, that could have been me. Who knows? You know, there's a... That's okay. See, we're live from Columbus, Ohio, all the time. Before we get started, let me jump in. Was that me? Yeah, I think it was me. See, here I am making fun of you for doing it, and I did it myself. I don't look like an idiot. Thank you for joining. All right, let me say good evening to everyone here in the thread. Dana, thank you so very much. Hope you and Gabriel are having a fantastic evening. Jenny, thank you so very much for joining us. Nice to see your smile as always. Pretty fancy setup there, Brian Brawdy. Unleash your legendary. I know, my friend, and if you would drive here from time to time to see us, right, the big the comedy tour that you have going, if you would come here from time to time, we're looking forward to you hanging out here in the studio as well. Janile, thank you so very much for joining us. It's nice to see you. Laura, absolutely nice to see you. Thank you for joining us here and All Natural Being. Rita says hello. Henry, you should know. Rita says hello. Rita, thank you so much for joining us. I'm loving. David Ray Bowman is here. Thank you, David, as always, for joining us here at All Natural Being. So I wanted to talk a little bit today. I saw this thing where everyone says, there's a midlife crisis, or you hear about a quarter-life crisis. And I think, okay, well, it could be a crisis or it could be a shindig. I mean, 50 wasn't, well, other than the brain tumor, 50 wasn't bad for me, right? I mean, you got to throw that out, right? Just take that right out of the bell curve. But how about you? Is there any such thing really as a midlife crisis, or is it just midlife? Is it our chance to put our heart's highest priority top of our list? So that's what I thought we would do. Maybe tonight we could talk about some of the examples. Good evening, Wayne. Nice to see you. Hey, is that a Wayne you know? There you go. Good evening, Wayne.
Must be.
Nice. Oh, then let's just get right to it so he doesn't think I'm holding you captive. All right. This evening, we're very excited to have in studio with us, right, as we say, live, Mr. Wallman. Thank you for watching. Thank you for joining us here on All Natural Being. We have our guest tonight. Let's get right to it. We're on. Mr. Henry Noel, nice to see you, sir. Thank you very much. And Kelly Hill, thank you for joining us here in the studio. And as I said, we're going to talk about this whole concept of, when you reach a certain age, you're just supposed to be decrepit. You're just supposed to be, it's supposed to be downhill. You're not supposed to be having fun. You're not supposed to be enjoying life. Well, maybe that's just not true. So we're going to open the phone lines here in a bit, but we wanted to say hello and get Henry's take on it. We wanted to get, We wanted to get Kelly's take on it. Lee is watching. Good evening, he says. Good evening, Brian, Henry, and Kelly. Lee, we missed you last evening. We were having Hawaiian Punch. I don't know what the rules are for the Federal Communications Commission. Hawaiian Punch. It's the same color red. It could be. No one knows. But he wants to say hello to everyone. It's a great expansive maturation. Brother Wallman says, I like that. It's a great expansion. Maturation is just that. So, Kelly, ladies go first. What do you think about this concept where people say, a midlife crisis, or now we see in the news a quarter life crisis, right? Where people are like, they reach 25 and they've had it already with life. Where do you fall on it? And how have you been able to keep your smile? How have you been, not saying that you're 50. I didn't mean it like that. Let me back up. It's a good thing this isn't live. It's a good thing it's taped, right? No, I didn't mean it like that. I meant, how do you keep your smile? What empowers you to always be in such a great mood?
Oh, well, thank you.
You're welcome, my friend.
I like to call it a midlife change.
Midlife change. Very nice.
Because how I look at it, divorced now, 5 years, 3 kids, 46. I like to call it a midlife change because what I wanted at 25 was not what I wanted at 45.
Very smart.
So, and that's how it should be. A 25-year-old should not be thinking like a 45-year-old. When you walk down the aisle, you don't say, okay, you know what, I'm going to give this so much time and then I'm going to change. It just creeps up on you. We evolve, we change.
Sure.
And so what I wanted, like I said, at 25 was not what I want now. So for me, it's not a crisis. It's a midlife change.
It's a change.
So,
but a shindig. If you had to pick between a crisis at one end of the scale and having a blast, you would say more towards the shindig.
Oh,
end of the
absolutely.
scale.
Absolutely.
Brother Noel, how about you, sir? What would you say?
Oh, I'm still waiting for midlife crisis.
Yeah, you and me both. Yeah, I'm celebrating my 49th birthday like 7, 8, 9 times now, so I'm with you. Henry, what do you think?
I think it's a state of mind.
Absolutely.
we have placed ourselves under so much pressure and so much stress and so much stuff that it's impossible not to take a review of what life is supposed to be and assess whether or not we actually achieved our goals at 25, at 30, at 35, at 40, at 50. And when I get to those ages, I'll
sure.
Away.
Send us a telegram. Let us know.
I got to go backwards the other way, I think. I don't even remember those ages. Okay, anyway, I find that it's our perceptions of all of this stuff and what we've taught and what we've learned from our parents and what is expected. And as I mentioned many times on this thing, we get frustrated with the path that we're going down, and it doesn't seem to make any sense anymore. It's not your path. You've been living your life to someone else's desires, someone else's dreams. It's what Mom wanted you to be when you grew up. It's what Dad laid out for you. So when you actually get a chance to take a look at yourself, I think Kelly's absolutely right. It is a midlife, quarter-life change. It's a reality, a realization that, man, I have been living my life for somebody else instead of myself.
Well, let me say hello quickly to Matt Connerton, who's watching. Dana says, hi, guys. Great to see you both. Janile says, Kelly, so very true. Because I think what I'm hearing Henry say is, he talks about it's not your path, it's your parents' path, it's this or that. But what I'm taking from it is that when Kelly says at 25, she didn't have the same type of view. So it's the path of Kelly's 25-year-old as opposed to the path that Kelly is now at 31. There's a total difference between that 25-year-old path and that 31-year-old path. 32? Oh, well, didn't hear it from me. Right? So maybe that's it too. That a part of fulfilling that potential is giving yourself that dynamic flexibility to go, what I thought yesterday, what was important to me yesterday, what was paramount to me yesterday. Today, not so much so, but giving yourself permission instead of sitting back and going, I can't believe I didn't, this carrot at the end of the stick when I was 25, it didn't work out. But you give yourself permission and go, that's potential. That's how it works. Now I'm going to try to find something else. Kelly, what do you think?
Well, of course, you're right. It is a change. Now, is it a change for the better or is it a change for the worse? And that's where I don't like the word crisis. Like I said, that just doesn't ring true for me. Now, again, did I find my paths that I needed by the time I, had that midlife change? It's all relative to each person.
But would you say that in the moment sometimes do you even know what that path was supposed to be, or you're just busy doing it? I mean, I see you going here and there, running around. You always have a smile on your face, so you've got to be digging the gig, right? So I'm thinking you kind of leading a dynamic life. You're open for whatever the universe throws at you, I would think. Henry, how about you, brother?
Absolutely right. We really do have a great existence here. If we would just kind of embrace it instead of fight it tooth and nail and kicking and screaming. We really do have to understand who we are, and until we can do that, it's almost impossible to really know what we are, why we're here, and what we're supposed to be doing. But it certainly isn't following someone else's dreams for us. It's our own dreams that we really should be really following. And better than that, it's not the dreams, because we really need to wake up. It's our plans and what we see for ourselves. We're not promised tomorrow.
Sure.
And we certainly shouldn't be living with regrets of how we lived our first 25 years.
Sure.
Or our first 50 years.
Mr. Wallman, in the thread, just so you know, Henry calls it's also a release of what's been gathered along the path, right? That baggage, those layers of the onions. And we were thinking, let me say hello to good evening to Chris. Chris, thank you for joining us here on All a Natural Being. He says, but this time it's revealed as wisdom, and maybe the application is not a business, but is grace a legacy? Something to think about. Sarah, thank you so very much for joining us here on All Natural Being. I'll say, Kelly, we were driving around today, and there was a sign on the highway that said, I believe it said just this month, 15 people have died just in the state of Ohio on our highways. So here's 15 people thinking, you know what? I got to get over to the store. Time. Got to go. Come on. Chop, right? I'd say undulay, but then people will scream that I'm culturally appropriating a language that I don't speak or where I wasn't born. So, undulay.
Wait a minute.
Did I say it right?
Okay.
Is that okay? Undulay. As Dana Lee says, it's residual. We've got some residual stuff, some baggage that we've been carrying along the path. But here's 15 people that thought, let me run down here, do this, and I'll be back in no time. And they never made it back. So I think, Henry, to your point, that we never know when our time's going to be up. I can guarantee you not one of those 15 people thought, I might as well go for my final drive. Right. I'm pretty sure that didn't happen. So, Kelly, talk to us a little bit. Dana says that it's residual. Mr. Wallman says he's talking about some of that baggage, some of the things that we've collected, maybe like the dust, or, if you think of like, you ever go to a garage sale and you find one of those tables and it's been painted over top of shellac, over top of varnish, but then you get it home, you scrape the paint, you strip it all down, and the natural wood's there. Is it the same thing? Is that the residual that Dana's talking about? Is that what Mr. Wallman is saying, is about just running around, that you collect all this stuff while you're on the journey, and then you wake up one morning and go, wait a minute, I'm feeling this shirt, like, does this make me look big? Did you just like collect things that you didn't anticipate when you were 25?
Well, it's your choice on how much you decide to take with you. And
Groovy.
so that residual, it can be residual or it can be nothing. And so it's your option. How do you want to get, you're aware of this midlife change crisis, whoever wants to call it a crisis. Now, what do you do with it? The change can be positive or negative, like I said. And so for me, it was a little different. I wasn't where I wanted to be or who I thought I was. And so my change is good. I would not call this a crisis.
Crisis, right?
Because I choose to live it differently and do more than I could before.
And as Mr. Wallman says, these 55 years flew by.
Oh.
Now I invest my time into my family, my community, and culture, and not so much things. I realize that, I have friends that go, oh, what are you going to do for Christmas? Or are you going to get someone this or someone that? No, we're going to take them on an adventure. We're going to take the whole family together and go somewhere. So they've gone from giving gifts to giving experiences, giving adventures, giving memories. Henry, what do you think about that?
Well, I totally agree with Mr. Walton. Think about if we had given to our family and commitment to the community and that giving since we were 12.
Mm-hmm.
What midlife crisis?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
I mean, our crisis is we have these things. Now we have to defend everything to keep these things. Because if you can't keep the house with the payments, if I lose my job, so I've got to keep going whatever I got to do, and I hate the job. We defend and defend and defend, do everything we can to keep what we've acquired when it was never in the acquiring.
Well, it's not in the moment. If you're living, most people don't live in the moment, and if you're not living in the moment, then you do. You carry the excess weight,
sure,
literally, figuratively, and then all of a sudden you break. And that break is what people call the crisis.
That's it.
And so if you distribute it evenly throughout the years, 20, 30 years, then you don't have a crisis.
I love it. Here in the thread, Mr. Wallman says, does this house make my ego look fat? That's a great one. Thank you, sir, very much. Dana says, instead of victims of circumstance, being architects of our reality, which is, I think, when you leave yourself open to the potential that life is. And Henry, we've been talking about it the last couple of evenings. Instead of saying, oh, well, it's just human nature. I'm not sure I believe in human nature anymore. There's human potential, right? And you can fall on the scale as to where it's going to be potential and then probability, where you're going to fall in that. Is it more or less probable that you're going to take advantage? Henry's mic sounds down. Scooch him up a bit. So, Henry, there we go. Thank you, sir. See,
I'm perfect, just to let you know. I'm
that's
perfect.
why, yeah, there you go. Kelly said, I'm perfect. Thank you very much, sir.
Kelly.
And that's why I like him. I say to people all the time, just produce. This is great. All right, so that's what it is.
Just kidding,
How's that? Any better?
Henry,
Oh,
you're
that's
good.
much better. That's much better. It's not Henry's fault. It's my fault. It's the board
It's not
operator's
you, it's
fault.
me.
Yeah, it's not you. It's me. All right. So you know what? I'm amiss. I should give out the number 833-462-3968, 832-462-3968, or toll free 833-GO-BE. If you want to give us a call, if you want to say hello to our studio guest, have a conversation, 833-462-3968. So let me ask you both. Given that you said, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to have that residual. I'm not going to collect this baggage. I'm going to realize that I'm different now than I was at a certain age, and what it was that I wanted to happen didn't happen, so now I'm going to do A, B, C, or D. What's the key? Kelly, you go first. Was there something one day you just woke and you said, you know what? This is craziness. I don't want it this way. What did you do? What was the tipping point, I guess, in your mind when you go, the heck with it. Here's what I'm going to do now.
I'm not quite there yet.
Okay.
I'm really not. I've been divorced for 5 years now.
Okay.
Getting back on my feet, it's been a little bit rough. You know, when all your life is marriage and 3 kids. So it's taken me a while. There's always that, oh, yeah, you get to go out every night, no kids, no husband, right? But that subsides. And then, you're over that, have fun time. And so I'm not quite there yet. So.
Henry, how about you? Thank you that's a very honest answer. I mean, because you could have just said, "Oh, well, this or that,"
Yeah,
but so thank you very much for that. Because I'll bet you, Cal, a lot of people are in that same position, right? I bet you there's a lot of people listening. You know, of the what do we have for an audience? Like 11 people, it's not, whatever it is. But I mean, it could be more on iHeartRadio. Both of you, knock it off over there, right? It could be more. You don't know. But I bet you a lot of people are going through that same thing, right? Where you say at 25, you're like, oh, this is the gig. This is what I'm going to do. And then not so much so. But you just can't pack it in. You can't let that potential just sit around. So thank you. That was a very heartfelt answer. I appreciate it. Henry, what are you thinking?
Well, good question. I believe that we do. We're in a constant state of change. I mean, that's the only thing we really have that is consistent in our lives is change. We have to understand that that's what's supposed to happen. We are supposed to change. We're supposed to grow. We're supposed to develop. And when we get to my age, and don't say nothing, Wayne, I've had enough.
Come on, Wayne.
Happens to be my brother. We got to embrace it. We have to love where we are. It's all about right this moment because we have it. What happened. What's coming up the line, we may be there for it. It's going to happen whether we're here or not. So just enjoy the dickens out of what we have at the moment. Did I say Dickens?
You just said Dickens.
Jeez. It's just like whoopsie daisy. This is really terrible.
Fair enough. See,
Hawaiian punch.
It is Hawaiian punch. Oh. Stop stealing my lines. Okay, Rita says, some see it just takes us a few years to figure out what is important because we realize we don't have to be under the pressure of what people think.
Wow.
And we begin to follow our own ideas and what is in our own heart. I love that.
Wow,
Thank you very much, Rita. That's the point, right? Putting your heart's highest priority top of your list. Exactly. People go, I can't have my primal scream. I can't have that front and center in my life. What would people think? What would they do? Right? What are you, narcissistic? Yes. What are you, a hedonist? Sure, why not? Pile it on. The phone lines are open. Feel free to call me anything you like. But I think that's the point, right? You get to it where you go, I'm going to begin to follow my own ideas, and I'm not going to be led subject to the up and down vote of the marketplace. Right. But look at social media. Look at regular media now, where everyone and their brother and their sister, so I'm not mansplaining, everyone and their brother and sister wants to tell you how to live their life, but it's not you, not in your sandals.
I'll tell you a prime example. The way I decorated my house was what my mother-in-law wanted. And 5 years ago, when I thought, oh my gosh, I don't even like that stuff.
Wow.
And that was a key for me. That was huge because, I just went along and, that's what you do. And
Did you make the opening hour of the garage sale just for her? Yeah, just for her.
So when I got to redecorate in my own house, I thought, oh my gosh, I would never even pick out those colors or patterns. So you do. You do. I did. I'm not going to say you, but I did fall within that. This is what you do, and this is what you're supposed to do, right?
Sure.
No, I was quite shocked. I mean, that was a big eye opener for me.
Wow.
Henry, how about you?
Yeah, I totally agree. You live your life for what other people have set it up to be, and we don't even realize we're doing that until at some point in time we really start to dislike ourselves. I mean, we look in that mirror and we say, God, I really don't like the person looking back at me because I haven't been true. I haven't been honest. I don't like any of this stuff. This is not what I want to do. I don't like this career.
Sure.
And then we change. And then we wonder why we change, where we have this quarter-life crisis or this middle-life crisis. And now we get a chance to try to go do something we want to do.
Lee just said over in the thread, he said, every aspect of the universe, or the universe, if you prefer, the lowercase or uppercase, is in a constant state of change. If we stop changing and growing, we essentially stop existing. Just my 2 cents. Mm-hmm. That's why I love Lee, because he goes, that's my 2 cents adjusted for inflation. Because Lee's great. He's something else. But let me tell you this, when you talk about changing your life, and this is, I realized this not too long ago where someone asked me for my resume. And I realized after I was compelled to sit and write it down, I'm just basically unemployable. I was a cop in New York, quit that. Bartender in Los Angeles, time of my life, quit that. Became a television reporter in Chicago, quit that. So for me, and that's why I tell people, well, don't be like me, right? You can absolutely follow your heart. It's just that I tend to follow it like every 7 years. And people would go, you left being a cop in New York? Yeah, not only did I leave being a police officer in New York, when I left, packed everything into my little red Subaru, drove it across the country, ended up at Venice Beach in California, I took a job as a busboy at the LAX Hyatt. Now, I know you're thinking, oh, Bride, nice tips, busboy and all, right? But no, I wasn't that type of busboy. I was a banquet busboy. So I went 30 days earlier from giving orders, up against the wall, feet back and spread them, right? Kicking in doors, shotguns, the whole 9 yards, to a lady complaining that I hadn't cleared her butter plate fast enough, right? But I did that because I knew I didn't have the strength to just philosophically break in myself being in control, right? Oh, yeah, I'll be able to do it. No, I won't, right? So I had to force myself to find a new gig. So don't be like me. Don't change your career every 7 years. But maybe you wake up to a little quicker, Kelly, to that point and go, yeah, you know what? I really didn't like the interior decorating as it was done, right?
Right. And that's okay.
Sure.
And that's what I need, I need to understand is it's okay for change. Change is good. And you grow. And all you can do, like Henry said, is we're changing. We're constantly changing.
Dana says that I've been being challenged, falling into old patterns and triggers, allow them to dictate my emotions and stress. Let me get this back up here, Dana. It's hard sometimes to pull these things up in the thread. Old patterns that allow them to dictate my emotions and stress and concern. I keep in mind... Yeah, I really got to figure find a better way of reading these. I keep in mind, it's not about worrying, changing, or focusing on the old. It's the new I focus on. What I can do, not what I can or can't do, not what I have or don't have, right? It's in this particular moment and all of time. And as Brother Wallman says, the falsehoods found in traditions stymie our personal growth. Henry, you'll be all over this. The falsehoods found in our traditions stymie our personal growth. It's tough to declare as our identity is often the results of old traditions. Absolutely. Are you guys texting each other over there? I wish I had a cameraman, camera person that could get a close-up and go, what are you texting? I absolutely, Brother Wallman, I absolutely believe that to be the case. Henry, what do you think?
Absolutely right. We define ourselves. We see ourselves and have placed labels on ourselves that have been given to us by our past. What political party you're going to be part of, what church you're going to go to, what religion you're going to practice, how many times you're going to be married and divorced. I mean, all of these patterns, we learned these things from our parents and from our friends and families and co-workers and anything else you can possibly through, plus the education, plus our political leaders, plus the advertising on television and radio, plus what our politicians have done and our religious affiliations.
Well, since you brought up politicians, Dana says traditions and lies.
That's it.
Right? Think about it. Tradition.
That's what it's all about, and that's the reality. That's what we call reality.
Sure.
Just because it's a tradition doesn't mean it's right.
No.
Right. Absolutely. Well, I ask people all the time, if you saw me, Marcellus, good evening. Thank you for joining us here at All Natural Being. If you saw me at the ripe old age of 49, celebrating my 49th birthday multiple times, if you saw me riding down the road with training wheels, if you were my friend, you'd go, Bri, it's time to learn how to balance your bike. What's with the training wheels? Ooh, or over in New Albany, I go over to the pool and I cannonball in with those ducky water wing arms on and the little snake that up in here. And people would go, how old is he going to be before he learns how to swim? But we have these traditions. We have these lies. We have this interior decorating, right? We have these different things that we needed when we were learning how to get our equilibrium. But then after we get our equilibrium, after we get our balance, then they just become boat anchors. They just hold us down. It's not inauthentic at all.
It's like a pacifier. And when I see a 3 or 4 year old with a pacifier, just the other day I thought, and I'm a dental hygienist, so I want to pull that out. And it just drives me crazy.
That's a very good point.
Drives me crazy.
And you should also know, I always think about you because I saw a report one time that, what the most dangerous job, Henry? The most dangerous job in the world is this past year? Cop, airplane pilot, dog walker. What do you think is the most dangerous job in the world? You're sitting next to a superhero.
Really?
Yes, dental hygienist, right? A dental's assistant, right? Someone that takes over, so all the dentist has to do is walk in and bless the place and blow out. She does all the heavy lifting. It's the most dangerous job, at least in 2017.
Yes.
Most
You are
dangerous
right.
job.
Wow.
So think about it. You're sitting next to a superhuman.
I'd love
Make sure I
it.
don't cough on you.
Wait, you're a dental hygienist.
Please, right.
I'll get all this stuff in my face.
Dana says, and just because it's taught doesn't mean it's true.
That's
all
it.
right. So how do I give like 10 hearts? I'm just learning how to do this here in the thread. How do I give 10 hearts to that? You're right. Just because we're taught it, Henry, it doesn't mean it's true.
In fact, no. In fact, it's not true. 99% of the time, it's not going to be true. And, I mean, think about all of the decisions we make. We decide at 18 to get married. I mean, because we're told this is what you do, and this is what you're pushed into doing. And we're not there.
Sure.
Or women went to college, to find their husbands.
Yes.
Now women are 40, 35, 40 getting married now.
Exactly. And so, no, traditions have been a way to keep us anchored
Sure.
to the past.
Sure.
To provide us the reasons to feel guilt, to feel incomplete, to feel, to be unhappy. We lose, when we're little kids, we are complete, we're happy, we are content. And we know it. As kids, they are. You just look at them. You know how happy they are. And then we start to grow up, and we start covering ourselves shroud after shroud after shroud of someone else's unhappiness.
Sure.
Until we believe it's our unhappiness. And it's all from our learnings. Mm-hmm. And once you start stripping away those extra shrouds of unhappiness, you get back to yourself. And, oh, my God, you find out you're happy.
You don't like yellow and reds in your house. You want silvers and grays.
There you go.
That is exactly the thought that came to my mind.
Exactly.
I mean, interior decorating and figuratively, interiorly, that's not who I was.
Right.
So it's kind of a
right.
cool play on words.
Same person that walks up and goes, really, you're 7 years old and you have a pacifier? Mm-hmm. Come over here. I'll give you a pacifier. Right. No, I got that. All right. So again, I go back to Dana Lee says, Columbus was a hero. Give me a break. Which, the other day I was over, someone you may know, Columbus, there's a school, and I won't say the name of the school, but there's a school here in Columbus, and the mascot are the Vikings. And I thought, if Columbus is the namesake, shouldn't you be like the Explorers or the... Right? But the Vikings, pretty sure Columbus and the Vikings... Yeah, exactly. Kelly's like, okay, Brian, go to commercial. Yeah. She's like, go to commercial.
No, I was zipping my own mouth, not yours.
Okay, just check it. So, Dana, thank you very much for that. So what can we do in this moment? Because we might learn, right, that we're at a certain point in our life, a jump-off point, where we're going to go either left or right, maybe contrary to what we've always known. What do we do to handle all the critics that haven't been brave enough to jump off, haven't been brave enough to abandon their ex-mother-in-law's interior decorating, aren't courageous enough to abandon their tradition? What do we do? Dana says she's a pleasure. She's a stand-up comedian, Dana is. Well, I should have her write my material. Yeah, feel free. Just pipe it in. So what do we do then when we're countered by all these people, the Meshuggah, as I call it, of the marketplace, where they go, Kelly, you can't change the interior of your home. You can't be do this and that. How do you face that?
I don't honestly. I love to people watch. There are people who will change and people who won't.
Right.
And to me, it's more the strong-willed. People don't change, and that's. I could argue. We could all argue this all day long. Is you have people who are walked all over. Those people are certainly not going to wake up one day and say, I'm done with all of this and I'm going to have a backbone. That's why there's so many different personalities and types. So I think if you're that type of personality and you're strong-willed and those are the ones I have hope for.
Okay, great. So in other words, just redirecting that sense of potential.
This is how I think of it. And I'm sorry for anyone who gets offensive to this, but I can't imagine being at the same job for 30, 40 years. It's those types of people who go to work, go the same job, same company, 35 years. That's just not, I can't imagine.
The only
that.
reason I'm laughing at you is apparently I can't hold a job for 30 or 40 weeks.
It's those people who leave after 7.
Oh, I cannot believe it. Right?
You don't have much 401 in that one.
Yeah, that's what I said. I think I'm just unemployable, right?
It's those people. It's those types of people. You know, we've all seen the donut commercial. Time to make the donuts.
Yes.
Right? Time to make
the donuts.
It's those types of people who, and we need those types of people in life too. We can't have all humans walking around strong-willed. I mean, it would be a lot worse than it is already. But I don't know. It doesn't come to those types of change. That change doesn't
come to everyone.
No,
Henry, what do
doesn't.
you think?
I think take a look in the mirror. Stand in the mirror and then take a look in your reflection and see who all is standing behind you. And that's exactly the opinions you need.
Sure.
None of them.
Sure.
It's like
so
my
don't
comment.
do it in a public washroom is what
It's
you're
like
saying.
my comment the other
If you're going
night.
to check the mirror, do it in your own home. Don't
Right.
in a public washroom because like if you're at a football game, you check the mirror, the guy, wow, Henry, I got like 10,000 guys behind me. Or I have to listen to all their opinions. So check the reflection in your mirror at home.
At home.
Okay, good enough.
Yes.
Right. It's like the other Groucho Marx. I said,
Yes.
right? I never forget a face, but in your case, I'll make an exception. I don't have time to worry about if you like me or not.
Right.
I beat my own drum, and I'm the happiest person. So.
Right.
And that was at 18. That was my senior quote at 18. So
that was.
I've had this kind of thought for a long time.
Very cool.
It might not be good, but
I think it's a great thought.
I think
It's perfect.
I said to Henry the other day at dinner, I go, when I woke up one day and realized I wasn't the sharpest knife in the drawer, I just decided to be an ice pick, right? So it's, you don't like it? Yeah, I'm good with it,
You're so
right?
sharp.
I beg people to make fun of my hair lip. You know, everyone says, oh, you can't say anything about John McCain. He had a brain tumor. Yeah, and I'm not going to comment about ex-cops from West Virginia, right, with hair lips. Oh, sure, I'm not.
you're always going to offend someone.
You're always going to offend someone.
Always,
We talk
always.
about hot heads wrapped in thin skin.
That's it.
Right? So, Henry, how do we do that then? How do you get to the point where you, one day, if you're one of the ones, as Kelly describes, that have a bit of a backbone and you're like, right, I'm not going to tolerate it anymore. What are some of the baby steps? What are some of the first things that you can do when all your critics are going, just conform already. Just be a lemming. Why do you think they call it go with the flow? What do you do to stand up for yourself in that regard?
You can't do that. We are part of a consortium, if you really want to look at it.
Okay.
Our energies are all from the same place, and they inhabit this body. And in this life, we are pushing and pushing and pushing for our individualism. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but every step we take toward that takes us away from where we came from,
Okay.
and where we will ultimately end up. I mean, nobody here takes the U-Haul to the graveyard. I mean, we leave here all by ourselves, and we will leave. We just have to stop worrying about what somebody thinks. Yes, we have a freedom of speech. Yes, we have the right to say anything we want to. Yes, comes a responsibility with everything that we say. That's fine. But hurting someone's feelings is not part of that. I mean, people have got to start to thicken up, and those that can't. And there's nothing that's ever going to change it.
God love them.
And I mean, what are laws written for? They're written for the minority of people. They're not written for the majority. They're written for the minority. The majority of the people aren't out there as bank robbers or pedophiles or whatever the case may be. It's the minority. But yet we have all these laws for the minority. That tells you something's wrong with the system right there.
Sure. I want to share with you quickly what Dana had to say. Again, she should just write my show. She should write my material. She goes, people who abandon their dreams usually try to help you abandon yours.
Absolutely right.
Misery loves company, right? She says, I think the only way to help another is by leading by example, giving testimony, and then planting the seeds. And I think absolutely. If you have a smile on your face, if you are going through life going, yeah, you know what? Fate has kind of dealt me a couple of tough hands, but I'm still in. I'm still throwing my chips on the table. I'm still, gimme. I'm in for the ride, whatever it is. Rita also says, fear is the greatest deterrent in keeping us from mustering up. I love that. Mustering up the courage to initiate change.
Yes.
Right? It's too easy to stay in our comfort zones, she says. It's like a dog chasing a car. I love that. It's like a dog chasing a car, right? And then you figure, okay, when the dog finally catches the car, what are they going to do? And as Rita says, they're scared of succeeding.
That's right. Wow.
Great idea, Rita, for sure. And then Dana, just so you know, Dana also says, I try my best to connect authentically with everyone. I don't care if they remember my name, my face, but if they can remember something I said, let me just see here. She's talking about planting the seed. If they can remember something that she said, then it's going to be worthwhile.
Exactly.
What do you think about that, Kelly?
Oh, of course. Too many times people remember what I say, and I don't want them to.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough.
So, Dana, I know what you're saying.
And then Dana said, she just said again, oh, this is great. Really, Dana, just write my stuff. She goes, play your cards like you wanted that hand.
Right. If you walk in a room and you know what you're doing, no one's ever going to ask.
Right. Well, I say all the time, the greatest jobs I've ever had were the ones that I didn't know what I was doing, but I always busied myself by moving from point A to point B in a hurry. Mm-hmm. Right? So I look like I had somewhere to be in a hurry. Oh, I got to get over there.
And no one's going to ask you.
No one's going to ask you.
Can I see your ticket? You walk in like you know in the room. You own it.
Play your cards like you wanted that hand. Yes. That's great advice.
Yes, it is.
That's great advice. And, you think about, you could fold. You could just say, look, instead of being a superhuman, I'll be superfluous, right? I'll be fodder for whatever fate decides. Or you could square your shoulders and as Dana says, just say, yeah, that's the hand I wanted to play. It's just fantastic. So I know I don't want to put you on the spot, Henry, but give me another one. If Dana's saying play your cards like you wanted that hand, yes. I saw you nodding up and down. What would you say? What would you add to that? What would you offer in response to Dana?
Everybody is looking for the royal flush.
Yes.
Sometimes the 2 becomes the most important card in the deck. So
see, I knew you'd see, you and Dana should write this show.
Dana, you'll be visiting next week,
right?
Exactly.
That's right. You better be.
She'll be doing stand up right here. Right?
It.
I could fit like 3 people. I mean, it's not the crowd she's used to, but I could fit a few people in. 833-462-3968. 833 go be you. Not the you that Kelly was talking about when she says, oh, they don't have much of a backbone. Not that you. Go be you. The one that's designed to stand, to take the cut and shuffle of fate, to play the hand like you were glad to be there.
And Brian, some people are okay with no backbone.
Great, fantastic.
Some people are okay the same job for 35 years.
Jellyfish at the beach.
Yes.
Right? See?
So that's okay.
Amoebas.
We need the donut makers.
I mean,
absolutely.
Like I said, we need those people too. We can't have all strong-willed people in this world.
And then Dana says, I would love to. All right, so we're going to hold her to that she can come here and be in the show. And Kelly, let me just say, because I don't want people going, oh, well, Brian's being a separatist. Well, in fact, I am. Well, Brian's being an elitist. Well, yeah, right, great. I'll take elitist, because you're absolutely right. There's some people that are never going to rise to the challenge. And we talk about all natural being. This show, if you listen in the beginning, there's a disclaimer. It says chances are pretty good this show isn't for you. Right? When people say, right, that's how you're getting more and more people to Facebook. That's how you're getting more and people to follow you on Instagram, is telling them you're pretty sure this show isn't for them. Yes. Yes, I am. Because it isn't for everyone to rise to the occasion, to channel your all-natural being, to bring your wild at the core, and to go to fate. I'm pretty sure you better find somebody else to target, because I'm going to kick the crap out of you if you try to target me.
That's it.
But not everyone can do that, right, Kelly?
Right. It's hard to be alone with yourself. Yes. Nowadays we are, everything's in front of us. We have more TV channels, more social media. I mean, does anyone look out the window anymore?
Oh, good question.
Well, think about it. In terms of channeling that, I love sitting upstairs and looking out the window at the forest. And really with no.
But what happens with that, though? Your brain works, and people don't want their brains to work.
Maybe so. That's a good point.
That's what we do.
That's a good point.
Yes.
Henry, what about you? You're telling me at home in Ecuador, you can hear the tree frogs. Mm-hmm. And I always thought, when I was in China, I'd watch people chase after the monkeys with brooms. Because
is this the Wizard of Oz?
No. You're right. No, not like that. But in China, they're considered a nuisance, right? So they chase after the monkeys with brooms. They treat them like pigeons in the Loop in Chicago. But if you've never seen a monkey, or you come from a part of the world where you've never seen a pigeon, pigeons are beautiful animals. Just a lot of them. And like people that live in San Francisco, they just crap all over the streets. But other than that, a pigeon is a really cool looking animal. But we get so tied into the commonplace that we just treat it like it's nothing anymore. So I've never forgotten that whole concept of when you sit and you look outside the window and you look into the forest and you let your mind run. I think you're right, Kelly. I think some people don't want their minds to run.
I'll tell my kids here and there, I'll say, give me 5 things you hear. And
Great.
That's hard to do.
Wow.
It's hard to do.
Henry, how about you? If you had to check, like I know Ashley says at the end of the day with the boys, like, what did you really enjoy today? Like if what were you really thrilled about? Or for me, it's like, what are those things when people say, how do you get through the day with the headaches and everything else you've been subject to? Well, I fall asleep every night. And even if I can't help it, guys, I'll fall asleep and I just find myself saying thank you. Well, I don't know to who, right? Like I call it gratitude without a target. Divine, however I define it in that particular moment. But I'm just overwhelmed by not being one of the 15. Doesn't mean I'm not 16 tomorrow,
That's right.
but by not being one of the 15 that the wolves pulled down on the highways here in Ohio this month. And it just fills me with such a sense of gratitude to even be sitting there looking at the trees with no particular place to go.
Yes.
That it just seems to I don't know why it works the way it does, but that sense of gratitude it just seems to get me through everything. Henry, what do you think?
Exactly. I look at it 2 ways. One, those that are like the folks listening to the show tonight, and have been the ones that are looking to change, the ones that are simply trying to find the answers of what is my next step, how do I correct my life, how do I change this thing, I everything I can do to help them, I'm here. I'll do everything we can to do that. As your disclaimer states, those that will never be able to do that, I hope and I pray that somewheres along the line they will wake up and will take ownership of their life, open up the shades, look outside, take a step outside the house and experience life for what life really is. And I hope that planting the seeds will get them to change also.
I like to say baby steps still move you forward.
Yes.
Sure. Absolutely. It's
so
still
huge to
progress.
me.
Yep.
So
absolutely. It's
Baby
progressive
steps.
adaptation, Kelly, just like at a gym. You're not going to build the ability to do 1,000 push-ups. If you could learn how to do the correct push-up on Monday, you're not going to do 1,000 of them Tuesday morning. You build into it.
So many of us are looking for that the end
Yes.
result, the end. What's the bigger? What's better? How many more channels can I get? How many more cars can I own? Right? But
I got to ask you a question, only because you said it. You ever go over to any store, pick a store, and now TVs are 487 inches. You can get a jumbotron, right? You got to get a neighbor to help you with their minivan, and they drive in reverse while you drive forward. Just massive. And I'm thinking to myself, when is it big enough, right? When is your TV 8 def high, right? Surround pixel sound and I'm thinking, just open the door and walk into the woods. Let me say hello to John Burgess. John, Punky, thank you so very much for joining us here at All Natural Being. Dallas, people have stopped looking for the beauty and have stopped listening to the music that nature provides. Listening to that music and talks about nature provides us. Dallas, you're absolutely right. That gets a heart now that I've figured out how to use these emojis. That's a great one, I think. Rita already says, yes, Dallas, because simplicity is hard to see.
Ooh, yes.
Isn't that a great line? Simplicity is hard to see. I like that one as well. Dana, back into the thread. Yes, it's a daily practice to take responsibility for my actions, thoughts, and feelings. Henry, I think you probably have something to say about taking personal responsibility.
Totally. Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, we are responsible for us. Totally responsible for us. What comes out of our mouth, what comes out of our minds, what we hear, how we hear it, our perceptions. Sure. We are responsible. We can go ahead and blame everybody else if that's what you want to do. You want to blame the Democrats or blame the Republicans.
Sure.
It's us.
Sure.
We did this. Nobody else did it. And it concerns me when I hear about people wanting to get together and have prayer groups to make the world a better place. I mean, that scares me because we're not there. We're not in that position to do that. We have a lot of house cleaning to do. And if you're going to pray for my world to be better, I think back off.
Well, I think the
let me
same
worry
thing.
about that.
I think the same thing when it comes to artificial intelligence. I go, it's the arrogance of humanity.
Yeah.
We've barely figured out our own intelligence. Now we're going to infect computers with our insanity.
Yep.
Oh, well, I want artificial intelligence. Yeah, oh, great. As soon as you get out of your mom's basement, call me. I'll hook you up. Dallas says we've forgotten to live in the now and in the moment. I couldn't agree with you more, Dallas. I call it magnify the moment, right? Yes. This particular moment in all of time. What is the universe presenting you with? The divine, however you define it. Big bang, big breath. Savannas of Africa, Garden of Eden. Couldn't care less. You should. I don't. I'm just saying, whatever that is that's important to you in this particular moment in all of time, as Dallas says, we've forgotten to live in the now. We've forgotten to live in this moment. Kelly?
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, we're a lot of us are looking for the next big thing and what's coming next. And, we're saving for the future. Well, when we get there, it's not the future, it's the now. So you're always in the now. There is no future.
You are so
perfect.
right, my friend. And I think about it when people go, oh, I can't wait to get to heaven. Oh, really? Well, you should tell me about it. Oh, it's going to be great. It's right. Forget the fact that, the angels playing those trumpets all night long. That's got to get old in a hurry, right? And all that. But what I'm saying is, if you don't recognize heaven here, how will you, like you say, how will you ever know? Mm-hmm. What is it? In the Gospel of Thomas, Jesus said, the kingdom of heaven is spread upon the face of the earth, but men and women, I'm imagining, men and women do not see it. Sure. But to your point, Kelly, how would you ever know? If you don't know it now, if I ask you to speak Swahili and you don't know it, what good does it do me to talk to you in Swahili? How's that? Oh, and for people keeping track at home, and I'll do a prayer bowl, that's 2 attempts at cultural appropriation. You too, just so you know. Right? Everyone was giving me right? So, cultural appropriation.
My mom would be so proud.
Oh, thank you very much. Great. Dallas says, yes, Rita, absolutely. When Rita talks about all we have is the now. All right, we're going to be here for a couple more minutes. If you want to give us a call, 833-462-3968. 833-GO-BU. It's toll-free. Which is kind of odd. We started this toll-free number a couple weeks ago. More people called when they had to pay. Maybe I just have you, like, every one of you that wants to call, send me a quarter. Right? Call and then send me a quarter.
For $2,900.
See, look, in fairness, right? So in fairness, now she says, because she doesn't think I'll run with that joke, right? So I'm standing on my hands going, no, right? And I know Sue back in Chicago's listening going, Bri, don't, please don't. Do not say that joke. That I know for sure. Dana says, if you can't be a good steward in this moment, what are you doing? What good are you? If you can't contribute, you're consuming. And that is not what the human spirit is built for. Again, Dana, you got to start writing my content for these shows. Absolutely spot on. Thank you. That's absolutely correct. Spot on. 833-462-3968, 833-GO-BU. All right, y'all, in the closing minutes, let me just thank you so very much for hanging out with me this evening. But Kelly, could you give everyone maybe like a parting thought? I would love it if we had a segment called Kicking with Kel, right? Just Kicking with Kel, and you'd give us, because you used to send me, right, little quotes and little things that I could use, and they were always germane. They were always brilliant. Can you give us a little something to leave with until tomorrow?
Okay.
Anything you want?
Wow, I've been really talkative, but now.
Okay, well, we'll go to Henry. Then
I think Henry looks ready.
Yeah, so Henry looks ready. I always like ladies first. I get accused of it. Just like I get in trouble now when I hold a door for a woman. Well, thank you, sir. I'm strong enough to hold my own door. Yeah. Oh, great. It's quick enough to catch the door in the face when I... Oh, great. Okay, good for you. Yeah, I guess you worked. All right, Henry, how about you? Any fun... No, don't slam the door in someone's face. I'm just saying. Right? Now people will call.
I can't believe you said you smacked that boy with a door.
All right.
I know that woman. Live in the now.
Okay, good one.
Cherish the now. This is what we have. We don't have the past. We don't have the future.
Sure.
We have the now. And start treating each other that way.
Sure.
Set your perceptions on rewind, man. We again, we are one within this one human race.
Sure.
Stop the hatred, stop the discrimination, stop all of the garbage, the separation of us all. We are a fragile planet. We are a fragile species, extremely fragile, more fragile than everybody realizes.
Sure.
It's time to simply stop.
And go be you.
Be you.
Because ultimately, I think if you're the you that I'm referring to, Kelly, nothing bad will come into that. You know, the you that puts your heart's highest priority top of your list, the you that lets that, thank you, narcissistic, hedonistic, primal scream out. I think it's good for the world. And I think we try to can it. We try to cage it. We try to, I don't want to offend anyone. We're walking on eggshells. And I think that leads to just depression. I think that leads to anger. When we talk about hot heads wrapped in thin skin, how do you get that way? You turn your back on yourself. You turn a blind eye and a deaf ear to that still small whisper in you. So, having said that, Dana Lee, thank you very much. Go be you. Kelly, what do you think? Till tomorrow night.
2 words. Be vulnerable.
Oh, look at you, Brene Brown. You see, that's why
time.
That's why I want Kicking with Kel. I think that would be a great segment. All right, everybody, thank you so very much. I appreciate it. Henry, thank you so very much for joining us tonight. Kelly, I cannot tell you how much I appreciate you coming over and hanging out. Thank you very much. And as Dana Lee says, go be you. We'll be back tomorrow night. It's our last night with Mr. Newell. He will be here tomorrow night, and we'll be doing that. And we're trying to talk nice. Dallas, thank you very much. I appreciate. I'm assuming. I hope Dallas says that this was nice. I'm hoping, right? Just like me to hijack like anything and say, "Oh, that was a compliment." Yeah. I'll take that. So I'll give it. That'll get a prayer bowl. So we're hoping to talk Kelly into coming back tomorrow night. Yes. Oh, yes. I have plans. I have things to do. Yes, don't we all?
I think Henry needs to shine by himself tomorrow night.
He's been shining for 2 days in a row. He's buffed. He's shining. All right, my friends, thank you so very much for joining us here at All Natural Being. Don't forget, you can also text Dallas, thank you. She says yes, in case I misunderstood. So thank you very much. I super appreciate that. Dana, thank you, peoples. So that's to you for sure. And Rita gives it a double heart.
Thank you.
So, and those 2 hearts, the 2 of you. Didn't give 3 hearts.
No.
Right? Not a 3 heart. I didn't get a heart. Right? I didn't get a heart.
Last 7 years at a job. You don't get a heart.
I know. 7 years.
You have to earn those past 7 years, Brian.
Thank you, Dallas. Send 4 hearts. That's what I'm talking about. 4 hearts. And Janelle, who's just fantastic. Janelle always knows how to work the emojis. There's so many things that, and you'd think I'd master the acumen of that, but I haven't yet. Thank you all so very much for joining us here at All Natural Being. We will see you back here tomorrow night. Until that time, go be you. Forget that I'm counting on it. The universe is counting on you going and being you. We'll see you tomorrow night. There you go. How long could that take?
IPMNation.com.